Hi, everybody. Can you guys hear me? All right. Well, I'm Tope Awotona. I'm the founder of Calendly, and I'm excited to share with you guys how we pivoted our business from one that primarily attracted individuals to one that became a business that attracts individuals and businesses alike. So that's what we'll be talking about today. But first, a little bit about the company. Well, I guess before that, a little housekeeping. So really excited to present on this today, but also excited to chat with you all and answer any questions that you may have. And to do that, you can go to slido.com and register your questions, and at the end, we'll take them and hopefully get a chance to take a few of those. All right? So first, a little bit about Calendly. Our mission is to take the work out of connecting with others so you can accomplish more. And the way we do that is we eliminate the back and forth of scheduling meetings across organizations. So instead of trading 7 emails to get a meeting scheduled, what Calendly allows you to do is share a link. And instead of, again, sharing those emails, what you do is they pick a time that works for both of you. It gets added to the calendar, and the meeting is scheduled. All right, so we reduce all the email traffic. We'll help you cut down on all those pre-meeting tasks, right? So updating your CRM, generating the web conference links, sending out reminders. We take care of all of that for you. We've been doing it since 2013, and the team is headquartered in Atlanta, and we've got a team of 50 plus people and growing. So here's a little story of our growth from 2014, August 2014 is when we started charging for the product. Fast forward to today, we just crossed the $7 million mark. We're really excited about this growth, and we're really proud of it. Certainly there are companies, thank you. Certainly there are companies who've done this a lot faster and done it in a short amount of time. But the reason we're really proud of this is the capital efficiency of the growth, right? So it's very common to hear stories of companies who've raised $20 million just to get to $5 million. But we've been able to achieve this growth with very little outside capital. And what we attribute that growth to is the uniqueness of our business model. And it's this hybrid of B2B, so being able to attract individuals and also being able to attract businesses. And there are 4 key components in that business for us. And it starts with a freemium business model, right? So lots of people use Calendly all over the world, here in Europe as well. Anybody ever gotten a Calendly link or use it? All right, cool. Thanks for being users, right? But it starts with a product that's incredibly generous, right, in terms of the features we offer to our free users. So we would love for you to pay for the product, but even if you don't want to pay for it, you can get a lot of value out of the product without ever paying for it. So that's one of the most important kind of core components of this business model. The second is virality. So from day one, so before I started Calendly, I started a number of other businesses before, and they did not go very well. And one of the reasons they didn't go very well is distribution was always a challenge, right? So and one of the things I liked about the Calendly idea and the product and the business is this inherent virality with the product, right? So you cannot use the product in a vacuum. Anytime you invite somebody to schedule a meeting with you, you end up introducing Calendly to them, and then the cycle kind of starts and it kind of continues from there. So that's been a really effective way for us to get the word out about Calendly without any advertising, right? Without an outbound sales team, which leads to the next point, which is the low customer acquisition cost. Because of the freemium model and the virality of the product, we haven't had to, till now, we've never done any advertising. We never we don't do any outbound selling. We've introduced inbound selling, which I'll talk a little bit more about that, but we've been able to achieve this growth without having to pull those levers. Once we acquire those customers, we're able to grow within the accounts, right? So our typical growth looks like this. An individual within a company signs up, they fall in love with it, they get value out of it, and then they invite team members to join them. Because we've also made some product decisions that make Calendly even more powerful. It makes the product is powerful whether you use it by yourself or you use it with other team members, but it becomes even more powerful when you invite team members to join you. So over time, what we do within our accounts is we start with one individual user, and then it expands to teams. And very quickly, those teams grow into entire departments. So all in all, what we were able to do is just create a simple and efficient way for, again, individuals and businesses alike to be able to try the product, to be able to buy it, and to be able to use it. Right. So we monetize the individual users, and we also monetize the businesses as well. So it hasn't always been this way for us, right? In the early days of Calendly, the product was 100% free. It did not generate any revenue, and it was primarily a product that was geared towards individuals. But over time, and we'll talk about the 4 key phases in which some of the changes we made in the business to go from this product that only was useful for individuals to one that was useful for individuals and businesses alike. So the first thing we did was started to generate some sort of revenue. So being a bootstrap company, we didn't have millions of dollars in the bank. So it really forced us to be really to pay a lot of attention to revenue and monetizing the product from a very early stage, right? So for the first year of the product, it was 100% free. But because and people were getting value out of it, and that gave us the basis of users and we were able to learn a lot about the different ways in which people were using the product. And as we got new product requests, we used those to really figure out how we could introduce a premium plan, right? So we began to experiment with the packaging, right? What should be free so that we can continue to grow and drive that top of the funnel awareness. And then how do you also gate the product so that you can generate some revenue without striking a balance between both. So we began to do a lot of experimentation around the packaging. So for example, one of the things that we did was in the early, people would ask, we love Calendly, we use it we use it to schedule with our customers, but we would love if you could remove the branding. And instead of making that feature, once we built that feature, instead of rolling it out to the entire user base and allowing everybody to use it, what we did was we tested that to see was that a compelling feature that would make people upgrade to a premium plan, right? So we tested a number of features like that. So we tested what the features should be. We also tested the exact price point. So today we charge, for the free plan is 100% free, but then we have a premium plan that goes up to $10 per user per month if you pay monthly. But back in 2014 when we started to experiment with this, it didn't start off with $10. What we actually did was we tested different price points. We tested $5 per user, we tested $6 per user, we tested $7 per user, all the way up until $10 per user, and then which is where we stopped testing. But through a combination of those experiments around packaging and pricing, we were able to introduce a premium plan. And just by introducing that premium plan, in 4 short months, we went from $0 in revenue to $100K in ARR. Definitely nothing groundbreaking, nothing to recoup our costs or even generate profit, but to give us a lot of confidence that we could indeed charge for the product and still continue to grow, which at the time, it's obvious now, but at the time it was really scary, having built this product that was 100% free and then you introduce a paid plan, right? So in phase 1, we grew MRR on average about $25K a month, right? That was good for us, but then we moved into phase 2 in which we scaled that up a little bit. And in phase 2, we did really more or less the same thing. We added more features to the premium plan, not a whole lot, but a lot of improvements, and we added some new features. What we also spend a lot of time doing is reducing the friction points within the conversion funnel, right? So for this low touch business model of ours, automation is really key to it, right? So being able to upgrade within the app, being able to automate the entire user lifecycle was really important to us, right? So you go into the app, you love it, your trial ends, you want to continue to have access to premium features. You can click a button, put in your credit card, and we automate that entire process. And from early on, we automated a lot of the different steps, but there was a few minor cases that we didn't automate. For example, if you were a monthly user and you wanted to switch over to an annual user, which is really good for us because it allows us to capture the revenue up front, which allows us to, again, reinvest in growth and grow our product team and grow our customer success team. We were not able to do that. But by being able to do those things, we were able to, one, generate more cash, right, which is really important to a bootstrap business, and also grow from 100K to $1 million. What we also did during this time is we began to experiment with offline team plans. What we noticed was a lot of individuals were using Calendly, and they were having success with it, and they were upgrading. But what we also noticed was that a lot of managers were coming to us and saying, hey, I would like to pay for 5 team members. And initially, we tried to convince them to go all, well, just tell them to upgrade individually. But what they told us was it was difficult for expense reporting. It was difficult for a lot of different reasons. And we saw them dropping off, like not upgrading just because that process was just a little bit difficult. And to resolve that, we started accepting payments for teams offline, right? So if you came to us and said, yeah, I have 10 users, I'd like to pay for all of them, we would give you a credit card from, and you'll do that. It was a tedious process, but people did complete the process. And we it's funny now that we did it all manually because the team was small. Then we couldn't we couldn't make the changes in the app overnight to automate the process for paying for multiple users. But by doing it offline and giving people like a form to fill out, we noticed that a lot of them were indeed converting. And with that knowledge, we moved on to the next phase, which I'll talk about in phase 3. But in this phase, we went from adding roughly 25K of ARR each month to we tripled that in the second phase, and that allowed us to get to $1 million and reach profitability. In the third phase, we began to make some really dramatic changes to the product offering, to the actual features themselves, and also to the distribution model. So, in the first 2 phases, it was more or less, still B2C, primarily still attracting individuals. But by the time we got to phase 3, we actually made some product decisions that made the team and business offering even more compelling to teams, right? So one of those was that we introduced team scheduling. And what that allows you to do is, so you're using Calendly as an individual user. That works really well for you. But we introduced features, again, and a lot of this was based just from listening to our users and the different use cases they would looking for us to automate, is that we made the product even more powerful for you when multiple team members within the company were using the product. So being able to combine their availability to share with a customer, being able to distribute meetings between different team members, which a lot of sales teams and customer success teams were doing. But by making those changes and also introducing admin capabilities, so permissions management and being able to add users and remove them all online without having to go through customer success. And then we started to introduce the integrations that mattered to a lot of businesses, right? Being able to integrate with Salesforce, being able to integrate with GoToMeeting, being able to publish our API so they could build different integrations that we couldn't even dream of ourselves, and also being able to integrate with Zapier and also allowing them to embed Calendly pages on their websites. The third major change we made is that we introduced an Imbalance sales team. Up until then, all of the conversion just happened. People went online and they entered their credit card, and sometimes they would tell us that they wanted to talk to somebody. We would say, you can do it all online. We don't need you just let us know any questions that we have. But again, what we found was that we had large companies that wanted to expand Calendly to 300, 400 people within their company, and they just needed a little bit of hand-holding to manage that, to help with assist with change management within the companies themselves, right? So once we introduced that Imbalance sales team, we were able to acquire logos like Zendesk and Uber and Marketo and a number of really impressive logos. I guess the fourth change that we made in that phase is we started accepting purchase orders. Again, up until then, we only accepted credit card payment, and we made our customers pay up front to be able to use the product. But by making those changes, we're able to quadruple the size of the business and generate even more profit, and also reinvest back in the growth of the business. By the time we got to this stage, we'd gone from increasing MRR about 25K ARR about 25K a month to, at this point, I think we were doing about the slide deck is cut off. Anyway. So fast forward to now. This is the current stage that we're in. We just passed 7 million a few weeks ago, and we're on track to reach 10 million. Let's call it Q1. Fingers crossed. In this phase, we're doing really more or less all the same things that we did from 1 to 4, right? So it's working. We're just really scaling it up. We've dedicated. On the product side, we've dedicated product managers, and all they think about is what features how do we build the product and roll out the features so that it's extremely easy for businesses and teams to be able to get started and use the product. On the product marketing side, we have people who are specifically dedicated to messaging and to product position. They're specifically dedicated to positioning the product for SMBs and companies. And we've also kind of carried that on through our customer success teams as well. And at the current pace we're going, we think that we'll reach this, like I said, in about 12, in a few more months. We think from the time we hit 4 million to the time we get to 10, it will take us about 12 months. And we're adding about $500,000 in ARR on a monthly basis at this point. So it's been a really exciting journey. There's still a lot more to learn. There's still a lot more we have to do to get from 10 to 20, but we're excited about what we've been able to do so far, and we excited to come back here next year and hopefully be at 20 or something like that. But before I leave, I guess there are a number of just kind of a few takeaways that we've kind of learned in this process. One is that, again, switching from this business that was only able to attract individuals to one that was able to attract individuals and companies has been really a huge boost for the business. It's actually the single biggest factor in our growth in that time. But all of that said, our success with individual users is still the biggest driver of growth for the business, right? So even when we attract large companies and they deploy Calendly to 300, 500 people, it still starts with individual users that started in the company with the freemium model and then gradually grew over to teams and departments. When companies come to us and we don't have individual users in the company using the product, we struggle to convert them. We convert them at a much lower rate than we do when we're already kind of embedded in there and the freemium is has created brand recognition within the company. And I guess the final point is that we made a lot of changes to attract businesses, but all the changes we made were not those. We did not impose our will on our customers, right? So we listened a lot to what they wanted. We listened a lot to what their current challenges were, and really what we did was just eliminate the steps that were involved in a business going from wanting to use Calendly to being able to use Calendly. So it wasn't us just saying that we wanted to go upstream and capture additional revenue, and we were just going to make the customer experience terrible. We really started from if I'm a business and I want to be able to use the product, how can we cut down those steps? And by cutting down those steps, it's been a win-win for us. Our customers are happier and they're able to get value quicker, and we've been able to generate significant growth in that time. So that's our story. Hopefully it's helpful to most of you, and willing to answer any questions that may exist. Here's a question from the audience. It's an amazing product. I love it. I'm curious to know what was the biggest challenge so far? Man, I wish there was just one. I think the challenges are different at different stages of the business. So when we went from, when we first introduced a premium plan, it felt like the world was going to end when we first told people we were going to start charging for the product. A lot of people were really disappointed, and it was a very difficult day for me personally. I almost gave up. But I guess the interesting thing that happened at that time is that once people, there was a very vocal minority of people who said a lot of, who were really disappointed that we were going to start charging for the product. But there was a silent majority who did pay us and just were happy to pay us, and I didn't kind of complain about it. So I think that, I think the challenge is kind of relative to kind of where you are. But, I wish I could say it's been one single thing, but it's been, for us, we've had to, evolve. I think it's just a willingness to really change just about anything, right? So for us, we've had to evolve the product, our approach, our sales model, our operations, the different tools that we use. A year ago, we didn't even use Salesforce. We didn't have a CRM. We mostly used this marketing automation. Now we have marketing automation and sales. So a lot of different changes in many different areas of the business. Is there a time in which we would ever move away from freemium to a paid from the outset? I personally do not see that ever happening. Everything changes every day, but It's just, for us, it's been a really, really efficient way to acquire customers and also build create incumbency within accounts that we go to, that we try to acquire, and also create recognition within the accounts that we go to. Somebody wants to know what our churn is. We have 0 churn. On a serious note, so our churn. So I guess one of the important things for us that's really minimized churn and really given us a very healthy kind of churn rate is this expansion within the accounts once we acquire them. So we do, given that we have a freemium model and also we sell to a lot of SMBs, there's probably more churn in our business than there is for, let's say, Salesforce, right? But one of the things that protects against that churn and really minimizes the effect of that churn is the expansion that happens within our accounts once we gain them, right? So we start with individuals, and they get value out of it. They invite additional team members to join their account. So we grow the existing accounts that we have at a much faster pace than the accounts that we lose. Somebody said, how did I come up with the idea? Did I pick it because of its inherent virality? Yes and no. I came up with the idea mostly because I actually had a personal need for it myself. So before I started Calendly, I spent a lot of my professional career in enterprise software, particularly in sales roles in account management. I found myself scheduling a lot of meetings with people external to my company, and it took a lot of time. It was a lot of emails going back and forth, and when I had the problem, I don't know what happened this day. I was just extremely irritated, I guess, and I thought that it could be done better. And at the time, I was actually not looking to start a business, but I just became obsessed with the problem, and I eventually started a business. So I guess that's the story. Looks like our time's up. I've enjoyed sharing the Calendly story with you, and happy. My email is tope@calendly.com. If I can answer any more questions, I'd love to do so for everybody. Thanks, guys.